Dukes, thank you. New at 4, former Wisconsin Judge Hannah Dugan is not going to jail and will instead pay a $5,000 fine after escorting a Mexican defendant out of her courtroom so he could avoid ICE agents. Dugan was convicted of felony obstruction in December and eventually resigned after Republican lawmakers threatened to have her impeached. Today, she addressed the court, saying her actions back in April of 2025 weren't done maliciously, but to maintain the, quote, decorum and safety of the courtroom. Prosecutors acknowledge the threats made against Dugan and her family because of her actions, but say it doesn't mean judges can choose to ignore the law. U.S. District Judge Lynn Edelman ruled that Dugan made a bad decision, but decided that prison was unnecessary.